Opinions and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
Welcome as we broadcast live from SEC Media Days, and I'll tell you what, this is the certainly the place to be. We would love for you to tune in throughout the week, and we'll have the very latest on the SEC as we're off and rolling. Amanda LaFrada is with us. Ethan Stone is scheduled to join us here shortly, but Amanda, here we are at SEC Media Days, and we'll be here up with you until 10, but here with you throughout the week as well. But this is clearly a better setup. I'd complained a little bit, but this is a better setup as we can overlook the print area and figure to have more coaches and players. So that should be good.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've never been to something like this, so I'm really excited.
I'm going to get your mic a little bit closer so we can hear your beautiful tones there. So, yeah, so we're it is exciting. We're going to be here until throughout the week, interviews with some key ESPN personalities and some players and coaches. So there certainly is a lot going on. Let's go back to Tennessee real quickly last night as the Vols had Drew Gilbert selected. And ultimately, Tennessee, I think when you look back at the draft, they're probably a little disappointed that Drew Gilbert fell. But they also had the UConn transfer who selected pretty high, so he would be coming to Atlanta, or to Tennessee as we're in Atlanta. So I don't think the Major League Baseball draft was anything good for Tennessee last night for the most part.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that it's bad. I think that Tennessee having a first rounder is pretty cool, but I do think Drew Gilbert fell, and I want to say mainly because of what he did at the Super Regional with Notre Dame and the whole let's cuss out the ump. I don't think that was quite exactly what MLB teams are looking for.
So if you want to get on board, now is a good time. We will keep our eye on the chats. So go ahead, and we got, hey, what's up, G? So, not too much. Just hanging out at the College Football Hall of Fame. It's a pretty neat event, whereas we thought of Birmingham as the heart of the SEC for the longest time. But really, Atlanta is another television market that they bring into the fold, so it makes a lot of sense to have it here in a central location. Still, Birmingham kind of feels like home. We'll see next year, man. But as for this year, it's being in Atlanta, I think they've made some vast improvements.
Yeah, I think, of course, I'm an Alabama fan, so I'm going to say I like Hoover, but this is the first one I've ever been to, and this is definitely an awesome setup. I love it all.
Chuck Oliver is going to join us now. He's the king of college football, and he's nice enough to join us. You can choose it. Let's go with this one. This one's our safer one. Chuck is we are right here at the college football thing. Chuck, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm on the safer mic.
You're on the second mic.
I'm good.
You should be on the fourth mic. Okay, we got you on the fourth. That's the best mic. Right. So tell us, buddy, how's your off season been?
It's been good. Not much of an off season. I mean, I've talked college football. Been doing this since the beginning of the 14 season, college football, all day, all week, all year. And so it's good to have a home game. SEC Media Days in town versus so it's all good, man.
Yeah, you live right here in Atlanta, and your show and middays, on 40 stations?
56 now.
56, and it's all
no accounting for taste, but people keep picking us up.
I love it, and it's all college football, which is the greatest part about it.
Yeah, and it was kind of strange, I'll say, during the pandemic, because even we started in 2014, and so there was a April, May, and June of 2015, 16, 17. April, May, and June of 2020 was a little different to talk college football, especially when we would have like morning announcements where California State Athletic Association has announced no college football for the entire year. Remember when they said no football in California, no group sports? But even then, there was always stuff to talk about. And so it's just great to be even a little further down the road back to, like, I want it to feel like 2019 again. You know,
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Down the road, we really are.
We're getting there, and it feels like old school football in that Alabama, I think personally, is the favorite to win it all. And I could see a scenario where Nick Saban rides off into the sunset after this year because of all the changes. I'm not predicting that at all. That's not a report. It just feels like the game has changed a lot. It doesn't feel like he likes a lot of the changes.
Yeah, the last time he had a serious, like, structural change to how he did his business was when he decided to go all cornerbacks in the secondary. All right, no more safeties. As much as I love Landon Collins, just doesn't fit what football is today. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Nick Saban. For the first time I can remember, like, when did he misspeak ever? Like, Nick Saban was one of those guys. Steve Spurrier, just make sure the red light's on because you have no idea what's coming out of his mouth, and neither does he. And it was always great. It was really raw and honest. Nick Saban, every word I've ever heard him utter had a purpose behind it. And he never had anything where he had to come out and say, even like when he yelled at Maria Taylor, like, I think he was speaking to his team and everyone else, saying enough about the quarterback stuff. Now, he came back and apologized, but he kind of made his point. With the Jimbo thing, it's the first time I've ever heard Nick Saban get a little flustered, get a little off, really kind of, throw a Duraflame into it, and it just wouldn't stop. So it is a little different, and it's stressing a guy like him a lot more than maybe some other coaches. Now, the interesting thing, you saw the kid Peter Woods, the big 5-star tackle out of Montgomery. Right. Did you hear why he gave him the reasons why he committed to Dabo? It's like Dabo gets him better. He really connected. He specifically, why did you commit to Dabo instead of Nick Saban? Because he gets me better. He understands me better than Nick Saban did. Like, this is Dabo who spoke out against stipends, names like this, the portal. You name just about any way to not really be in sync with today's 18 to 22-year-old. And so Dabo has made a big shift himself. And so it's getting harder and harder and harder to be Nick Saban.
Yeah, definitely. I know the NIL plays a huge part in that. With Saban and a lot of other coaches, secretly or not so secretly, don't really like it because it makes recruiting that much more difficult, and it makes you're not really selling the team anymore. You're just kind of selling the, what they can benefit from. How do you think that's going to affect college football going forward?
Oh, it's going to get worse. And when I say worse, here's what it was supposed to be. Did you see Mike Gundy speak out about this last week?
I did. I think I saw it last night.
And that's actually the way, like, there were a couple of SEC schools, LSU and Florida. When this all started, do you know what the huge emphasis, a huge percentage of their emphasis was going to be? Was players who have already bled and sweated and worked and worn an LSU jersey or a Florida jersey. Name, image, likeness is to reward the kids who are already here. Yeah, that ain't what name, image, likeness is. Which is why programs who we fell behind in name, image, likeness, they were actually doing it the way you were supposed to be doing it. Well, enough of that, because we don't want to lose Jaden Rashada again. So there are complete overhauls of name, image, likeness right now. And it's not to try to, hem it in, guardrails, or it's going on. The programs, the very few programs who actually listen. Remember, the NCAA said there are only 2 rules. You cannot use it to recruit new players to your program, and you can't use it as a reward for play. Hey, De'Ara, great game Saturday. Here's 500. You can't do that. It literally is only about recruiting now, because you've had a program like Florida say, we've really got to put the – in fact, there's an SEC program, I don't know if this is Paul or not, but there's an SEC program that's going to announce the restart of their name, image, likeness this week at SEC Media Days, because they realize that they have fallen behind in what they're trying to get done. So, and it is, again, it is a complete refocusing towards the 17-year-old 4-star wide receiver from Jackson, Mississippi, not the 21-year-old junior who's already played 3 years for you. So it's going to be another challenge. Whether that leads Nick Saban to put his hands up and go, peace out, I don't know. but it's another factor.
Yeah.
Here's what I was told through various channels is that Nick Saban wasn't just upset about Texas A&M. He was also a little bit upset about Tennessee. I've been told that he's had a conversation with Greg Sankey about Tennessee, and a lot of that comes from the Nico, the $8 million and all that. And since Tennessee's been a little bit quieter, lost out on a Francis Mauigoa, and I know this isn't apples and apples, but lost out on a catcher that they wanted from Notre Dame. I've been told that Tennessee's kind of dialed it back a little bit. My argument, Chuck, is why? Unless there's a rule in place that they're going to enforce, I like driving 120 miles back to Knoxville an hour. If there's not any cops, I'm going to do it. I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't have teeth here.
Yeah, and someone had said, I had heard a commentator on TV saying, well, since this is allowed with name, image, likeness, and I would change one word, while it's allowed.
Yeah.
By name, image, likeness, because I don't know if it's going to be the IRS, the federal BI, the NCAA. I don't know who's going to get involved. But it right now, as it exists, I think it's going to spin a little further off the rails. And then there's going to be a big correction at some point. But you're right about that. It's the refocusing towards the reality. Like I said, you can deal with what should be and what was prescribed and what was, it's going to be this way. It's not for recruiting and it's not reward. You can kind of immerse yourself in that, but you're going to wind up losing out on recruits. So as long as it's the Wild West, I mean, you can plant your flag for integrity if you want to. God bless you for it, Nate.
Right.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I just wonder how do you think it's going to affect the locker rooms? Because you have, a 21-year-old junior, senior who's been there for 3 or 4 years, who have done the sweat, blood, tears thing, played for the university, not getting the NIL stuff as we're seeing now, the new recruits. You have 17, 18-year-old kid coming in making $8 million a year.
Like if I'm Tyler Van Dyke and I've already thrown 36 touchdowns for Miami, and then Jade Rashadi gets $9.5 million, I'm looking around going, hey, wait a minute, what about me?
Exactly.
Something like that. Yeah, I think that'll happen.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's actually the big issue, because when you ask about locker room, so many other people go another way with it, and I don't believe it's a factor in the least. When people talk about, about in the locker room, it's the quarterback getting a $9 million deal where the offensive lineman got a free health membership. And so he's jealous. Players always know. That's the one thing about any roster that you're on, or I've been around, or coached, or anything else. The players always know who the other players are, the ball players, the studs. And I don't think there is jealousy among the 21-year-old junior guard with the 21-year-old junior quarterback, because he knows that guy's got skins on the wall, man. I know how it works. You're 100% right about the 17-year-old kid from 5 states west who, honestly, I had somebody tell me when it was DJU, when he committed to Clemson, this was the exact words from someone there. If you gave DJ $1,000 in 24 hours, he couldn't get to Clemson. He had no idea where the campus was. That is what you're talking about now with a lot of recruits, is that it's getting sold on everything except the majors, it's honest to God, marketing, coaching, visits out there, etc. That when they flew DJU in, had a great time on campus, everything went perfectly. I've not even known was in South Carolina.
We have 2 players that we pay through NIL and have no bones about it. If that's the rules, then I want to do it. I think it's good for the players. I like to get the insight. And they both said, one's Jacob Warren, tight end, the other one's an offensive lineman, Cooper Mays. And local ties is part of why.
Brother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And part of the reason I picked them is because I vetted them out. They're not going to get arrested at the pilot for trying to rob a hamburger, which has happened at Tennessee. And the other thing is they're well-spoken and they have local tie-ins. But the one thing that they both said is they said, we don't care if the quarterback's making that much more money. You're absolutely right. They understand that it's that way in high school, whether not money, but attention. It's that way in high school. It's that way in college. It's going to be that way in the NFL.
Yeah, it's you have a degree of respect for, well, that guy was out here on July 29th when we had our first practice. And if I wanted to be that level of a stud, I could have done the gassers better. I could have done the up downs better. I could have practiced harder. I could have taken care of my reps better. I could have worked out in the office. When you show up for the first day of practice with 84 other guys, and then some of them separate, you got respect for them. I mean, you don't have 84 best friends. I mean, nobody does. But everybody on that roster, you're out there every single day, and somebody separates himself that way. Way different than the guy playing like AA football in Oregon, where there ain't no players, by the way. And he puts up this, stud senior season and gets a name in his likeness. It's just a totally different deal.
Chuck, great stuff again. Man, you're all over the place. Tell us how we follow your work. Do you ever tweet anymore, though? You never tweet.
Yeah, I have gotten so busy on the daily schedule because I do 2 hours Chuck Oliver show throughout the Southeast, and then I do 4 hours an afternoon drive in Atlanta. And so it's 6 hours on the air every day, and so it's a busy schedule. So I don't. The shows do the tweeting for the most part.
The shows do the tweeting, and I don't think people understand how different your two shows are, because your show focuses purely on college football
year round,
whereas the other show, when I'm driving through town or I'm in town or I'm streaming, I'm sure you have an app. You do. I have it. It's more oftentimes, or a lot of times, NFL, Braves, that sort of thing.
Anything.
You got it covered.
Yeah, I've got 2 hours for Chuck Oliver show each day, which is 100% college football all the time. And you really have to kind of cram stuff in, because I literally, even during the pandemic, I never had one day where it's like 5 minutes before show, and I'm like, what am I going to talk about today? I have had more stuff than there is time for every single day. It's college football or in the South, okay? Shake the tree, topics fall out of it. But then the afternoon drive show, you're right, it's a typical afternoon drive with Braves, NFL, whatever else is going on. So keeps me busy.
Good stuff. I appreciate Chuck.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Chuck Oliver, bringing the king of college football. We'll take a quick break, and be sure and stay tuned, because more as we broadcast live from the College Football Hall of Fame. It is SEC Media Days. Coverage brought to you in part by our friends at Vassy Lawn and Garden. Call David Vassy, Vassy Lawn and Garden. They've got the Toro Man Alive. It is worth the drive, and it certainly is. So get out there now. Stay tuned. More after this.
It's Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Callahan Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute, and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Ray, and I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ottawa. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Met him before. So
And we're back. Just like that. And Amanda is saying she'd never met Chuck Oliver before. So you have now, Amanda.
I know. I'm really excited. It's very
Yeah.
nice.
Chuck is a good guy. Chuck, well, I've known Chuck for a number of years. Back in the Rick Clausen, Eric Ainge days, I think would be the best way to put it. So Amanda has her media got up. I see you
I have my
flashing
pass.
and displaying that. I haven't gotten mine tomorrow. Or I haven't gotten mine yet.
Yeah, you have to go get it because we can't get it because we don't have the same last name.
Oh, well, okay. Well, we do have help from our engineer and booker, David LaFrada, who is here as well. So we've got a lot to get to. We're going to be joined by Matt Moscano, who's going to join us a little bit later, and certainly looking forward to that as we broadcast live from SEC Media Days. Don't forget about Craft Treats, full spectrum CBD treats that contain minor cannabinoids that increase the benefits of CBD. Great for situational anxiety, things like storm anxiety, car ride anxiety. CBD also has the anti-inflammatory properties and pain reduction benefits that can help with arthritis for those elderly dogs. And I have to write a story about your dog.
You have to write a story about my dog?
Or you could just write it.
Why do you have to write a story about my
Well,
dog?
I just want to. I want to write a story about the benefits. I guess I could write about my dog.
Oh, no, you can. I mean, if you want to write a story about a dog, my dog.
Your dog is the dog?
Dog to write a story about. She's awesome.
Well, that's good to know that your dog is the dog. So, as
You've met her.
Looking forward to today, Amanda, as you have LSU, you have Ole Miss. If you want to go to offthehooksports.com. By the way, like and subscribe for more content. We've got a lot of stuff from Chris Landry up on the site from yesterday, and an interview with Cooper Mays. Jacob Warren will be up there a little bit later on our YouTube channel. But let me ask you this. So what's the most interesting team to you, Ole Miss, LSU, or Missouri?
I think hands down Ole Miss. I mean, just for the Lane Kiffin factor, watching his offense, I think is he's an incredibly gifted offensive mind, and I feel like he would be the best one to like pick your brain about, or not pick your brain, but pick his brain about the his offensive schemes and whatnot. And I think they're on the rise. I know Brian Kelly's at LSU, but I don't really have that much faith in Brian Kelly. I don't think he did that well at Notre Dame, considering it was Notre Dame. And then you have Missouri, and I know you and Ethan both want to kick them out of the SEC, but I'm not that far.
Missouri, Drinkwitz can be quotable. LSU is, I think, most intriguing because you have a guy in Brian Kelly that has tried to be accepted into the South, probably a little bit too far with the fake accent, but he's tried to be accepted into the South. But ultimately, Amanda, it's going to be up to the South to accept him. You can't force a peg into a round hole.
That's the thing. Stop trying. The South will accept you for being who you are, because I feel like the Southern people are just here. This is who we are. You accept us or you don't. If I'm Brian Kelly, I would just stop trying to be Southern. You're not Southern. It's not going to happen. Just stop. And you're also not a 25-year-old kid, so stop doing the rap video stuff and all that stuff. It's just not. I feel like it's not helping. It's making you look more like a clown than it is anything else.
Okay, so we're going to set up the poll question for today, and we'll lead off SEC Media Days with this. I want to keep track of this one throughout the week, so if I can get you to post that. And I want it to be something along the lines of who's most likely to get upset in the East or the West. So let's go along these lines. What team, other than Alabama and Georgia, is most likely to make the SEC championship game back here in Atlanta? What team other than those two teams?
Do you honestly think that's a good question? Because I don't
think it'll happen, but
exactly.
What's most likely?
I don't think anybody even wants to think about it because I don't think it's going to happen. I think a better.
Are you manhandling my question
I'm
right
going
now?
to tweak it.
Okay.
I think a better question or a better way to phrase that is which team do you think will be the most improved this season, discounting Tennessee? Obviously, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia are all out. But you have LSU, who was terrible last year. You have Auburn, you have Ole Miss, you have Florida, you have Vandy. Sorry.
I have another idea. How about this?
Gosh, we're tweaking.
How about we say, who is there anybody you would like to see lose more than Lane Kiffin?
That's going to be a hard no.
Okay.
Tennessee fans hate Lane Kiffin. with a
How about
passion.
this though? There's been time. Are you over the Lane Kiffin departure?
They'll never be over Lane Kiffin departure.
I think they will be.
I
think
don't think
that's
so.
it's Lane Kiffin's. He's here. I think that's what we want to do because I think a lot of Tennessee fans are happy with Josh Heupel. If you read my column at offthehooksports.com, there's a little misnomer that he went to Alabama and completely reinvented an offense that Nick Saban ran. Nick Saban had a lot of those parts in place. The fact that Lane Kiffin got fired in September on a tarmac by Southern Cal opened him up to be the first in line. So he stepped in during the season when other coaches had things to do. And he started really investigating this RPO stuff. It's not just about high tempo. We want to say high tempo is the thing about Alabama's offense that has changed the most. It's really not. I mean, that's a big part of it, but it's also the RPO schematics that they use. And that was something that Lane Kiffin did not do at Southern Cal, did not do at Tennessee. It was a pro-style offense. So, yeah, I think, Tennessee has something with Heupel. I think most Tennessee fans are completely over. How about this? Are you 100% over Lane Kiffin's departure? And I will bet you, I'll bet you dinner tonight that we get a higher percentage completely over it because they're good shape. Now, last year you would have won, and I'd be buying dinner, but I bet you're buying dinner tonight.
Are Tennessee fans actually going to be honest about it, though? Because if you look at it, there's no other coach out there that got mustard bottles or golf balls thrown at them.
Well, I mean, that's my thing. We've got to go by the Twitter. Twitter's never dishonest or misleading.
Admit it?
Twitter's never dishonest or misleading.
Yes,
I don't
right.
know.
They're never.
I don't know
There
what
are no
you're
bots.
talking about.
0 bots on Twitter.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that now. Are you 100% over Lane Kiffin? Can you post that for me?
I'm not going to. I can, but I am not buying you dinner because I know that is not even gonna be accurate.
Okay, no steak bet then, no dinner bet, but
I can get you
that will
McDonald's.
be. I think they're completely over it. Given that Josh Heupel is here.
No.
If this is last year, you're like, man, he still could be the coach. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that Lane Kiffin would not have won a bunch of championships at this point in Tennessee. It's certainly not a given by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't think anybody wants him back at Tennessee. I'm not saying that. I mean, there are some people before Heupel got hired that wanted him back. I'm not saying they want him back. But do I think that they're over being upset about his departure, or do I think that they are thinking that they weren't wronged by him? No. I think they will always hold a grudge against Lane Kiffin because of him leaving, and when he did and how he did.
Fair enough. Let's go ahead and get that poll question up there. Whether or not they'll be honest, I guess we'll have to determine. We'll have to trust you. Quite frankly, that's what we'll have to do. And then also some comments from Cooper Mays and Jacob Warren talking about Hendon Hooker. So it'll be Hendon Hooker, Trayvon Flowers, and Cedric Tillman heading down this week. And that is that's a pretty good group of players. I mean, you have to pick a defensive player. Trayvon Flowers is probably not going to be an all-SEC player, of course, but he is a guy, though, that I think there's reason to think he could make a major step this year. And we've had the countdown ongoing, and he was one of those showcases. He's a guy that needs to step up. Let's be honest. Anybody in the defensive backfield needs to step up, and man, if they don't, it could be a long year for Tennessee. That being said, I do not expect Tennessee to go from a poor defense to an incredible defense just right off the bat. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that there can be gradual improvements, but some of those improvements have to be on the offensive side of the ball. They have to control the ball just a little bit longer, and if they don't, that's going to be frustrating for the defensive players who have to just run back out there with a lead and probably let another team back in it. But we shall see. Ultimately, it all kind of depends in what Tennessee's offense is able to do. I say slow it down. You want a 4-minute offense. By the same token, if you score 50 in every single game, you're not going to have any problem with that. So we did have a question from Steve, who asked, how many championships would Lane Kiffin have won at Tennessee? Again, that gets back to my point, and read the story at offthehooksports.com. I don't think there's a guarantee. I think there would have been rough times. I think he might have been asked to go somewhere else. I think he might have. Let me take that back. Don't think he would have taken another job. Man, I do believe him and that he was genuine when he said Southern Cal was his job, and I do believe that. However, that being said, I'm not sure he would have lasted at Tennessee. The recruiting was very spotty, very, very insane, so to speak. And then the other thing that you have to remember, Amanda, is that he was wild, young, and immature. We've all heard the rumors. We've all heard the stories.
Has he changed, to be honest? I mean, I understand he was wild, young, and immature, but has he even changed? I don't know how long he would have stayed at Tennessee without getting, and I know he got some NCAA sanction just for that year, but I don't think he would have stayed at Tennessee and won much of anything without getting those sanctions. I think that there would have been a lot of gray area as far as that goes. And I don't know if he would have just ended up getting himself in more trouble. Or I don't know. I feel like at Ole Miss, maybe that's the best place for him. The Grove and all of that and what that entails. And they're not, Ole Miss is decent. They're not outstanding. They don't have quite the limelight I feel that Tennessee has. And they don't really have that much of an expectation on their season, considering how Hugh Freeze left. They're kind of just, I feel like, cowering a little bit. And I think at Tennessee, that fan base expects so much more than what they do at Ole Miss. I think it's a lot less. There's a lot less pressure there.
I think there's a lot less pressure. I think there's a lot less resources. And I've mentioned this before, and you kind of gave me a weird look at the time, and we were on to something else. But I do think that Ole Miss has a glass ceiling. I don't think they're going to be able to spend the money of an LSU and Alabama. Certainly not a Texas A&M. I'm just talking about West teams. To some extent, an Auburn. Just don't think the money is going to be there long term. I think that's why I was told that Lane Kiffin, not by Lane Kiffin, I was told that Lane Kiffin wanted the Florida job, wanted the LSU job, because there's not that sort of glass ceiling. And I can't blame him for wanting that, because I do think LSU is kind of in that middle tier of SEC teams.
LSU also, you can walk outside and point out, 11 high school football players who pretty much have your starting defense. So I feel like it's a lot easier to recruit in Louisiana than it is to recruit players from Louisiana to Mississippi. I feel like that's not they're going to stay at LSU. If it's between LSU and Ole Miss, they're going to stay at LSU. Now, unless you're the Kimdichie brothers, back in the day when nothing was happening, there was nobody paying anybody, but just, Hugh Freeze Ole Miss just got the Kimdichie brothers that were ranked, number one prospects in the nation. But nothing was nefarious was going on there. They just decided to go to Ole Miss.
Well, the one that stunk about that the most was Jeremy Tunsil. Why he would just I didn't have a problem with Robert Kindici going. He was kind of a late bloomer. His brother was there. They had a defensive back that was a 5-star, but he was in state. He was in Mississippi. I really didn't have a problem with that either. But when Laramie told about 2 days before National Signing Day, when he said, "No, not Alabama, we're going to go to Ole Miss," that was the stunning one to me. That to me was almost as stunning as him having a big gas mask with a bong in it. So that was pretty stunning, though.
And that dropped like right before the NFL draft.
During
During
the guys didn't know it on the set. They were wondering why Laramie Tunsil was, because ESPN has a policy: return your phones off. Right. Adam Schefter doesn't listen to texts, but theoretically that's the point. So if you want to get on board, go ahead.
It dropped like right before. That's why so far, because I feel like if it dropped during.
Well, during the broadcast, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like minutes before the draft, and he dropped like a rock. The mattress place is where you need to go to get comfortable, and the mattress place is just, frankly, as full of integrity and full of trustworthiness as any business you will find. They're right there on Chapman Highway. They are accredited by the Better Business Bureau, and I was holding, the folder right in front of my face. Sorry, Steve, but get out.
Sleep like a rock.
Yes, if you want to sleep like a rock, you go to the mattress place. Again, the mattress place, you're going to love it. 30 to 70% off, no gimmicks. That is the mattress place. Affordable luxury at the mattress place, just 2 miles from the Henley Street Bridge. It is amazingly close. So coming up, we'll kind of set up the week, continue to do that as we broadcast live from the College Football Hall of Fame, as we are live at SEC Media Days, brought to you in part by Owl's Nest Barbecue and our friend Steve Ray. Steve Ray's Midnight Oil, where you can get your car serviced in Ooltewah. But don't forget about Owl's Nest Midnight Oil, because Owl's Barbecue, as Owl's Nest Barbecue has all of your wood chips, has all the sauces, all the rubs, all the pellets that you need at Owl's Nest Barbecue. And they're recently expanded, and they're absolutely rocking it. So check them out in Ooltewah. More after this, including several questions from the Tennessee faithful. Let's go ahead and get to that now, as a matter of fact. I'm just noticing that. Forgive my technical ignorance out there listening. Tennessee boys says third down defense is going to be key, both for the offense and defense. I tend to agree with that. We could say that. It's kind of like the old saying that you want to come out really up tempo. You want to come out and score fast. Nobody comes out and says we don't want to score early, and nobody says we don't want to convert or take the ball away on third down. However, with this particular offense, I think they do need to convert some key third downs. I don't think they need to just be a vertical strike offense, Tennessee boy. And I also think that they need to be able to run that four-man offense. On the flip side of the ball, yes, you have to get out of bad situations, especially when you're fatigued. Third down is key. But I'll add another one to Tennessee Boy 87. I think that Tennessee has to be really good on first down on defense. I think first down sets up where you are on second and third down, gives you more options if you pick up 4 or 5 yards and you're looking at a second and middle. I think that's different from a second short, second long. So that's where I think Tennessee has to be good as well. And that comes with having some more daddies that can stop guys up front. I think Tennessee is better in that regard. I mean, to say Tennessee's better on defense, man, it's kind of silly because they couldn't have been much worse.
Yeah, unless you're at Vanderbilt, I guess. You couldn't have really been much worse. As long as they keep the Little John song out of the stadium, please, for the love of God, if I had to hear third down for what?
Third down for what?
One more time. And I even know Tennessee fans that were sick of that song, and it did not help at all. Like, it did not do anything. It was just, it was a lot. But I also feel if you're on defense and you're the defensive coordinator, you have to figure out a way to keep teams from getting in the end zone. I don't care if you give up 500 yards. Give up 500 yards. Let people throw bombs. With the offenses being fast paced and as fast paced as they are, you're going to give up yardage. That's fine. Hold a goal. Do not let them score. Once they get in the red zone, keep them out of the end zone. That's all you have to do. You can give up big time plays as long as they don't score and you hold them to a field goal. You're good to go. You're gonna give up those big time plays. Everybody does. You have to.
Next question we have online: who steps up at running back this season? I promise you, we will get to that in just 2 minutes. Stay tuned. We broadcast live from the College Football Hall of Fame. It is SEC Media Days Off the Hook Sports with Amanda LaFrada. I am Dave Hooker. Much more after this, including some comments that you'll want to hear about Hendon Hooker from Cooper Mays, who we visited with yesterday. And also, I want to remind you that our broadcast is brought to you in part by City Heating and Air Conditioning. CityHeatandAir.com. They're about integrity. They are going to make sure that you get exactly what you pay for, and they're not going to try to upsell you like some other companies. That's called integrity. Over 50 years in business, they bring you this portion of our broadcast live from SEC Media Days.
Folks, Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Callahan Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ooltewah. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Welcome back. We broadcast live from SEC Media Days. We are live at the College Football Hall of Fame. And kudos, I will say this, to the SEC for laying it out a little bit better. We're able to oversee the actual press area, and we're able to get a little bit closer to the coaches and players. Last time they tried this, it was just so incredibly split up. It was unbelievable, and now it's much better. So I'm in a much better mood. So we would like to get to your comments. So go ahead and post now, whether you're watching on the Twitter or the Facebook, wherever. You just can go ahead and post, and we love to have you. So do we have our Twitter poll up yet?
We don't.
We don't, but we're about to do that. Okay, so Twitter poll is now that I'm going to post. And so I gave my best recommendations for the Twitter poll. What do you want it to be?
I don't want it to be the are you 100% over Lane Kiffin?
Are you 100% over Lane Kiffin?
No, I said I don't want it to be that.
I like this one.
Okay, well, everyone's going to say yes, even if they're not.
Okay, well, let's see what they
You
say.
can say yes, or like, oh, I'm 100% over it, but then you don't throw mustard bottles and golf balls. If you're 100%
Okay, how about
over
yes,
something.
time to move on. No, not 100%. And then what?
No, say no, still did us dirty.
Okay, Snow still did. I like that. See? Yeah. No, I like that. Okay.
Wait, and then do a third option.
What's the third option?
Don't care.
Okay, don't care. All right. There we go. Go to Twitter if you want to take part.
There we go.
Okay,
I couldn't
so
get into it, so.
yeah, I got it. So we're good here. So coming up today, it will be, as we mentioned, LSU, Missouri, and Ole Miss. I wonder if anybody will ask two things. One, Missouri, are you concerned about conference realignment and how that could affect you? Because I think that most of us look at Missouri as just, hey, they're going to be in it, right? But I don't know. I mean, conference realignment, they don't look nearly as sexy as a Clemson or a Florida State, or certainly not a Notre Dame. You know, if the SEC decided that they wanted to stay at the current number of teams, yet upgrade their overall talent and their overall group of teams, Missouri could get dropped.
Do you kick people out? What?
I'm not opposed to that.
What conferences are kicking people out?
See, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, yes, that would be a whole different step, but I would not be opposed to that. And I'm sure Missouri or any other SEC school would be contractually obligated in a number of ways to be able to remain in the conference, but I have no problem with that.
I don't understand the hatred for Missouri. I mean, I don't. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Missouri played for an SEC title, I think, in 2014.
Yeah,
When's the
they
last
did.
time Tennessee played for one?
It was a really down SEC East. So credit Missouri for that. They
But
still play.
When's the last time Tennessee played for one? 2007?
Yeah.
So we're trying to get rid of Missouri here?
Well, no, I see where you're coming from.
I'm just saying, when's the last time Vanderbilt's played for one?
Or
Or South Carolina, no offense, South Carolina, man.
Or Ole Miss, for that matter.
Exactly. We're talking about the East teams, though.
Right. Yeah. So, but as far as the group that haven't played, Ole Miss is in there. Big Orange Phillies is a great place to go if you're in the Halls area. You need to head out that way because they've got the quick bites for lunch. They're good at getting quality food fast. If you're listening during lunch, you grab something cold from the fridge or order hot from the counter. They've got the fresh ingredients. Casual shouldn't mean stale. Food option, great taste is the name of the game. Go ahead and stay a while. You have plenty of time to hang out, and they've got billiards, live entertainment, karaoke. Pretty new at this point. But right now, are you 100% over Lane Kiffin? No one has said no.
Yes, they have.
Oh, you have a no?
Yes,
Okay.
they have a no.
You have an update. All right, so give us some percentages there. I thought maybe I'm slow on the internet connection.
I think you are slow on the internet. So we have 56% at yes, time to move on. 11% at no, still did us dirty, and 33% at don't care anymore.
So only 33% don't care anymore?
Yes.
So I'm winning.
No, I told you that everyone's going to say yes, so you're not winning.
I am winning.
You're not winning.
I told you that Tennessee fans were beyond Lane Kiffin.
Okay, then why do we have mustard bottles and golf balls? If you're beyond Lane Kiffin and you're done with it, then why do you have mustard bottles and golf balls?
Later this week, we'll visit with Josh Ward. Looking forward to that. And Josh is a great guy to talk to, and his appearance is brought to you by Zool Beer Company. And Zool Beer Company has fantastic brews. Josh is now a big fan.
Zool Beer, I mean, it's great. There's not much else to say. I did have, I was working, I think it was Thursday night, and I had a guy fly in from Baltimore, and he was running late. We were only open till 10, so he called me at like 9:50 on Zool's phone and said, "Hey, I just got off of my plane. I'm going to a dry county in Kentucky. I've read about you guys. You're the best in Knoxville. Who sells you? Because I know you're about to close." So we waited. Like I waited for him. Like our group waited for him to get there, and he got there about 10:30, and we sold him to-go beer, just so he could have it for the weekend in a dry county.
Is it ironic that I used to drive to Kentucky? All right, it's just south of Kentucky because that was the one place who would sell us beer when we were 17. They had a drive-through and they didn't check IDs.
I don't think you're supposed to say that.
Ah,
I don't think you're supposed to give that away.
it's my bad. Viles Automotive Group, which is right there on Callahan. Again, Viles Automotive Group is all about integrity. At Viles Automotive, their mission is to be the automotive home of drivers in the Knoxville area. A vast selection of used vehicles, exceptional car care, and customer service with a smile. Local dealership has a great stock of used cars, trucks, and SUVs in inventory. So check them out. They also do financing, and they've got a repair shop right there that they can attend to your vehicles. So last night we were being mindful of the Major League Baseball draft, and I'll be the first to say I'm a casual fan. I thought that 2 or 3 balls might go in the first round. Drew Gilbert slides quite a bit to the last third of the first round, and ultimately, when we look back at this team, and you mentioned it last night, some of these guys, if not all these guys, cost themselves a couple of draft positions by being so outspoken. Isn't that fair to say?
I agree that I hate it for some of these kids. I mean, Drew Gilbert, I don't necessarily hate it for, because you did it on a national television in a super regional. You cussed an ump. So I understand why MLB teams will be hesitant to take you. However, some of these kids, like Ben Joyce,
He's a saint.
He's a good kid. He's a wonderful kid. And I think he's going to get punished because of some of the actions of his teammates. I don't agree with that. I think you look at individual kids and individual players and how they perform on the field and their off the field activities, and you don't lump them all into one. I feel like they're getting lumped into one group, and that's why they're starting to tank in the draft.
That's according to Tennessee boy. He that's pretty good. He says, I'll just let you read it. You read it.
He said, "We still hate him. Don't miss him though. Told you they still hate him. I told you."
Yeah, I guess that's pretty accurate.
It's referring to Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
They still hate Lane Kiffin. He's
never
gonna die.
And we had a question: who steps up at running back this season? Now, I have spoken to Jabari Small, and he's the junior, and I think that Jabari Small will have a fine season. I think he's a fine player. 5'11", 206, had 140 carries last year, rushing for 792 yards. I think we're going to know really quickly, is he a special type of back or is he another good back?
I think if you're 11th in the nation last year, and you're in offense, running offense, I believe that you stick with what works. I mean, 11th in the nation, you're not 11th in the SEC, you're 11th in the nation. You stick with what works, and I think Small's what works. So stay with him.
There's going to have to be a complimentary back. Most people think Justin Williams as a freshman is a possibility. Jalen Wright is a sophomore. Lenneth Whitehead is a sophomore as well. Dylan Sampson as a freshman. But, I think if you're looking for a guy who can be a 1-2 punch, it's most likely Justin Williams from what I've been told. But by the same token...
Justin Williams Thomas.
Yes, but by the same token, I don't know that Tennessee is going to be explosive at that position. I think they're going to be explosive at other positions. Quarterback and wide receiver, I just don't know that they're ever going to be explosive at that position.
I think if you have a 1-2 punch, like you have Small and then you have, Williams Thomas as physical player, a big dude, I think you can definitely be explosive in that situation. I don't see why you couldn't. I think a lot of SEC teams and a lot of teams in general are going to a 1-2 punch when it comes to running backs. I feel like the one set running back that it used to be the ground and pound offense, I think that's going to the wayside. I do. I think you're going to a dual, set running back system. And I think that works for people, especially if you have some that you can just run routes, go to the, have your fast but smaller guys go to the outside. And then once you get to the goal line, you have your bigger physical guys, just punch it in. I think that works for everybody.
May I ask for the record, is it Justin Williams Thomas or Justin Williams? Because everything in recruiting is Justin Williams Thomas, but everything since is Justin Williams. Has he dropped the Thomas? That has happened before.
I don't think so.
I think according to this, he's anyway. Let's just call him J Dubs, or we call him JT.
J Dubs.
JT. Yeah, let's just call him J Dubs from now on. So I'm not sure if he's dropped that last name or not, but
I don't know. I'm gonna stick to Justin Williams Thomas.
At the end of the day, I think Jabari Smalls will be the guy that steps up to answer the question that we originally had. However, that being said, I think you're going to see another guy carry at least 40% of the load. Also, a question: do you think Hooker has a legit shot at the Heisman? Pros and cons. Let me do it like this. Pros: he has a name going into the season because he played well last year.
Agreed.
Pros: he plays at a school that has an awful lot of publicity and is in the SEC. Pros: he's going to put up big numbers.
Yes.
Cons:
an offense that throws the ball a lot. You're going to put up big numbers as the quarterback of that offense. It's got a lot of hype around him too, so that helps.
Sure. Cons get a little bit rougher. You've got a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in your conference.
True, but nobody wants to give the Heisman. Is it Archie Griffin?
Yeah, Archie Griffin was the one
he's
of
the only one that got it back to back.
I would vote for him again if he did the same thing he did last year.
You're talking about Bryce Young. He's the only one that's back to back in the history of the Heisman. But I don't think you want to do it again. I don't think anybody's going to want to repeat Heisman. And
if you vote by the parameters that were given.
Correct. But Bryce Young's going to have to beat out Will Anderson. And I know he's a defensive player. Nobody wants to give it to him. Charles Woodson, yada, yada, yada. But Bryce Young's going to have to beat out somebody on his own team already.
Yeah, but, they didn't really split votes last year. I just thought Will got the short end of the stick. It's not like they split votes. We see running backs and quarterbacks sometimes split votes. That was a little bit different. Hey, listen, I love Will Anderson, but the simple fact is most of the Heisman voters that I know are not going to look at a defensive player right or wrong.
Maybe they do this year. If Alabama is as dominant as people think they're going to be, then maybe you see Bryce Young, but he's already won the Heisman, so you say, that's good. Maybe you do give it to a defensive player this year, especially if Will Anderson has a season like he did last year. Maybe you say, Bryce Young has a Heisman. He doesn't need another one. Let's give it to Will Anderson.
Day one in the books. Roman Harper will join us for tomorrow's show. Also, Chris Doring will join us, a former Florida receiver. Both those guys on ESPN now. And we're off and running. This week flies by. Before you blink, Amanda, it will be Thursday, and we'll be in the car driving home. So it's a crazy thing, crazy week. But to answer your question, do you think Hooker has a legit shot at the Heisman? Legit small. Things would have to happen in front of him. So legit is a great word to pick.
But we are saying we're saying there's a chance.
I'm going to say that the offense actually works against him, that they say, hey, you put up all those numbers in the offense. I'm going to say he doesn't have a legit chance.
I think he has a small chance. I do. Nobody was looking at RG3 when he won the Heisman. I mean, no one at the beginning of the season was like, hey, this guy from Baylor. Like, it's Johnny Manziel. Nobody was looking at him either. You could have somebody come out and say, you know what, Hendon Hooker has this year, he deserves the Heisman. There's a small chance. I don't think it's huge, but I think there's a minute chance that he wins.
It's fair. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Throughout the day, though, we're going to have all kinds of good stuff from SEC Media Days. We're going to go ahead and post the videos and interviews that we get throughout the day, and then we'll have it all tomorrow as well. So stay tuned. We're at the College Football Hall of Fame, and we're broadcasting live from SEC Media Days. We will talk to you tomorrow and throughout the day